Ladies and gentlemen, right now we are all witnessing the ultimate downfall of Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer. For decades, this man has stood at the top of Washington's political machine, hiding behind empty rhetoric, manipulating the system and pulling the strings of power like a master puppeteer. But today, his entire empire is starting to crack. The truth is finally coming out, and the lies he has fed the American people for years are crumbling before our very eyes. Because in just the last 24 hours, Chuck Schumer has been caught in one of the biggest political scandals of his career. Not only has he been exposed for outright lying to the American public, but his deep ties to government corruption are now under the spotlight. And let me tell you folks, this is not just another political hit job. This is not just another scandal that will get brushed under the rug by the liberal media. No, this time the facts are undeniable. The evidence is overwhelming, and Chuck Schumer, he's running out of places to hide. So here's the big question: how stupid does he think we are? Does he really believe the American people are going to swallow yet another lie that we're just going to sit back and let him manipulate the narrative once again? Not this time. Because today we're pulling back the curtain. We are going to lay out every single lie that Chuck Schumer has told. We're going to expose the twisted game he's been playing behind the scenes, and most importantly, we're going to show you why this might just be the beginning of the end for one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington. So stay with me until the very end, because by the time we're done, you'll see the truth for what it really is now. Let's start at the beginning. Let's rewind the clock and take a look at what Chuck Schumer just said about President Trump and why it's the biggest lie of his career. Let's talk about Chuck Schumer's biggest lie. Just days ago, he stood in front of the cameras, looked straight into the eyes of the American people, and declared that President Trump had launched a scorched earth campaign against the rule of law. He said it with confidence, with conviction, like he was delivering some grand warning to protect democracy. But there's the reality: he was lying through his teeth, because what was Trump actually doing? He was working with the Department of Government Efficiency to audit the federal budget and cut wasteful spending. That's it. That's the scorched earth campaign. Schumer was screaming about Trump wasn't breaking law, he wasn't bypassing Congress, he was doing exactly what he promised. The American people putting an end to the bloated, out-of-control spending that politicians like Schumer have used to fuel their corrupt empire. And yet, Schumer wants you to believe that this is some kind of constitutional crisis. He wants you to think that Trump is committing some horrific crime by cutting off the flow of taxpayer money to wasteful government programs that have nothing to do with helping Americans and everything to do with padding the pockets of Washington eliteso. Let's get something straight. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that America is required to send billions of dollars to foreign nations for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Nowhere does it say that we need to fund NOS halfway across the world while Americans struggle at home. In fact, let me remind you of something Schumer seems to have forgotten. George Washington himself warned against permanent foreign alliances and reckless foreign. Imagine that it's almost like our founding fathers actually wanted us to put America first, but Schumer, he doesn't want you thinking about that. He just wants you angry at Trump, because that's all they have left. Fear, hysteria, and deception. The Democratic playbook hasn't changed in decades. Step 1. Create a crisis. Step 2. Blame Trump. Step 3. Hope the media covers for you and folks. That's exactly what's happening right now. Chuck Schumer isn't some noble defender of democracy. He's a career politician who has spent 44 years in Congress voting to waste your tax dollars on pet projects and special interests. And now that Trump is finally shining a light on the reckless spending that's been happening under Schumer's watch, suddenly we're supposed to believe that Trump is the criminal. Give me a break. If Schumer really cared about the rule of law, he'd be celebrating the fact that Trump is auditing the budget and cutting unnecessary spending. But he's not, because Schumer doesn't want accountability. He doesn't want transparency. He wants power, and nothing threatens his power more than a president who actually follows through on his promises to the American people. That's why Schumer is desperate. That's why he's screaming about a constitutional crisis. Because for the first time in decades, someone is finally exposing the system he's been profiting from. And folks, this is just the beginning, because not only did Chuck Schumer lie, he did it in the most shameless, dishonest way possible. He got up in front of the press in broad